Welcome back to KYD for this Q&A session between the seasons. Between the seasons, that's right. Q&A. So this is more of a casual, laid-back conversation. Our last conversation before Trish and I take off for season 6.
Can't wait.
We're pretty excited about it.
So we put it out on Facebook. We said, what are your questions? Because Between the Seasons is all about you. What is it that you want to know? So we tried to answer as many of those things as we could in the previous videos.
Yes.
And this is our final one of Between the Seasons.
Well, we went to Facebook, our Facebook page, and we asked, as it relates to full-timing, because we do get a lot of questions about full-timing, what questions do you have? And so we thought we would cover things like full-timing and the home, and residency, things like that. Full-timing and income, because I know income is a big topic. Family, we just wanted to stay on those types of topics.
Those are good questions.
They're great questions. And by the way, we got a lot of questions as it relates to the truck and the axle and the rig and the mechanics, and we'll get to all of that, particularly when we pick up Grand Ginger.
Yes.
Because then we can thoroughly cover everything. But right now we wanted to focus on full-timing.
Yes.
So we have our topics, but we can also go into the Facebook group directly and look for some questions.
We certainly could. Which question should we use to kick it off?
Let's start with Barb. She had a question about the home.
Okay.
She wanted to know, what do you miss both ways? What do you miss about the RV when you're at home? What do you miss about home when you're out in the RV?
That is kind of tricky, right?
Yes.
Well, the rig is definitely our home.
Yes.
The KYD Cabin has been a blast, but we've spent a lot of time in our rig. So I actually miss it. There are, you know, I've had all the things kind of set up. Everything's really easy. I know where everything is, and it's really quick and easy.
And you can just reach.
Yes. Pour it in, pour it over, fridge, the whole thing.
And by the way, if you're new here, in between, we just got back from Alaska, where we spent about 3 months in Alaska. And when we came back, we bought a cabin so that we can renovate to put on the vacation rental market. And so we're just now at the very tail end of the renovation, and we're about to head off again.
So we've been here for about 2.5 months renovating, and we are about to get on out of here, which we are very excited about, and we can't wait to share with you where we're going, Secret Season 6.
Yes, so when we're in the RV, what are some things you miss about the home?
Well, I have to say that we did holidays in the RV for 2 years. This is our 3rd year RVing, and I did miss having like Christmas decorations. Even this year, we didn't set up like all the little houses.
Yes.
I had the boys make me some gingerbread houses so I could get as close as possible.
Yes, yes.
And so, but you know, just having things that I can rely on, that's the one thing that I miss about a solid home. Like, you know, when you go home that you can get on the Wi-Fi, you can have as much hot water as you want, you can wash as many dishes as you want, you can have people over for dinner. Like when we meet people, we're like, come on over. I'm like, I don't know if I have things to actually serve more.
And are we in a full hookup site, so can we really cook?
Yes.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the holidays, I miss your holiday cooking.
Thank you.
Because obviously Trish is a very good cook when we're out and about, but holidays require maybe more than an easy bake oven.
Yes, yes.
So those are the things that I miss. But when we're home, like right now, we'll say this is home. What do we miss about RVing?
Oh, everything. I love being in new places. I love thinking about where we're going. I love meeting people. I actually love drive days.
I know, that is surprising. Drive days are some of our favorite days.
And one of the things about a home is that people can hibernate. And so especially when you have teenagers, they can go and they can hibernate and do their own thing. And I really love kind of being in a cramped space, even though sometimes it's really hard.
No hiding.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not hard, because it is, but you're right there together. So if you have an issue, you have to solve it really fast.
Yes.
You get to spend time, you know, it depends on what kind of kids you have and what kind of communicators they are. We have pretty good communicators. So, but still, like, it's just easy for kids to kind of go off in their own little spot instead of like having to share this tiny little space.
Yes.
So I feel like I get a better connection.
That's a good one. Okay, so Naomi asks about residency and Kelsey asks about documents. So there is a kind of legal side of full-time RVing, right?
Yes.
We're not CPAs. We've been doing this, but we're not experts in this.
Right.
Okay, so we're just going to share with you what we did, and it could be wrong. So what we advise you to do is do your research and talk to a CPA, talk to people in your own state, particularly your own state.
Yes.
I will tell you that for us, what we did is we have a traveling mailbox to handle our mail, and we made sure it was an Arizona address so that we can
So Traveling Mailbox is a digital mailing company.
Yeah.
So they take our things, they scan them, they send us the outside of the envelope. They say, would you like to look inside?
Yes.
We say, yes, please. Then they scan everything. And then do you want to shred it? Do you want us to mail it to you?
It's a great service.
Do you want to save it as a PDF?
It's like $20 to $35 a month, depending on your package. I guess it could be more if you get a lot of mail. But you'll notice you'll get less mail because you won't get all the junk mail.
Yeah.
Okay, so
awesome.
So we kept an Arizona address, and there were some instances where we might have had to have like a physical address, and we use family for that. So like for voting and things like this. But I think the big thing for us is that our income source didn't change. And that's key. If we started receiving, from another state. If we started receiving tax documents because we received income from other states, that would probably be the game changer for some things getting a little more complicated. But for
again,
us,
you'd have to check with your CPA and see if
But we have an Arizona driver's license, we have an Arizona mailing address, we vote in Arizona, we file our taxes in Arizona, and therefore we are Arizona residents. And now that we have the cabin in Arizona, it just makes that a little bit easier.
It's even easier.
Because now we will change our permanent residence to this.
But we still won't receive mail here, but we will at least have the ability.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's great.
Okay, so that's about that. And then lastly, I guess home's a big topic because a lot of people ask why we bought the cabin.
Oh, that's a good question.
And the short answer is, I think it has to do with the stage of life that you're in, the stage of life that we're in. I think everybody has different needs. And for us, we experienced that when our daughter went off to college, we would need a place to kind of reconnect.
I was like, wait a minute, how are we all going to come back together? This is not okay with me. Yeah. So I was actually started getting like really panicky. So I was like, because we have the rig and Victoria lived in the rig with us for 2 years. So it's not like she's a stranger to the rig, but for some reason it felt different because it felt like there were options. Like one day she could just be like, well, I think I'll just go do Thanksgiving over here because it's not like we're making a dinner or doing something. So I wanted to have like a home base where we could touch base on big events.
And of course that's for us because we enjoy hosting those types of holidays.
Yes.
So for someone else that is accustomed to going to family, an RV could actually be an advantage for the holidays.
You're like, I never have to do it again.
I know, you can go to your family's place and you don't even have to stay with them.
Yeah.
You can stay in your own RV, but eat their food.
We have a running joke that when the kids buy a house, we're gonna look at the driveway, the slope of the driveway. We're like, if the driveway's here, you love us a lot, and if the driveway's like this, you're trying to tell us.
Sorry, Mom and Dad, the RV can't,
you can't come. So I do it.
So so I think it really depends upon you and your family situation and how old your kids are and what you want the RV for and how you travel. And
we also wanted to have something that down the road is paid off, and we were looking forward to that. So that's an aspect of just thinking about our future.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. So we only plan on staying here for 3 months out of the year and traveling 9 months out of the year. And so our concept.
Yeah, we have no idea how this
is that the vacation rental market will cover the cost of this home, and that we are able to, so it's a true investment and not just a luxury of having a home. Because that is the way that we're able to travel full time, is that we don't have to be sending funds home to all of that stuff. And the stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah, let's make no mistake about it. We would not have been able to go on our first 6-month trip if we still had home expenses. So that's why this is such a big question, and we get it every day. What should I do with my house? And we don't know the answer because it's so particular for each person. But for us, we knew when we took off on our first trip, we could not have those expenses and go and travel full time.
There are some topics that we prefer to cover in blog rather than video because you can never change your video ever again. But blogs, you can just simply update when you learn new things and you get feedback. That's a good point. You can change things. So definitely hop on over to our website, keepyourdaydream.com. And then when you're there, hop on our email list, because when we do a real estate blog, then you'll get the notification of that.
Right. And anything else that we, do, all kinds of cool stuff. So,
all right. So that kind of covers the home stuff. Sharon asked, do you ever get tired of planning?
Yeah, we stopped planning.
Yes, we were tired of planning, and so we stopped doing it.
We stopped planning. What was that, in like season 2? No, that was Mexico, so season 3.
Season 3, we just got tired of liking where we were and having reservations down the road.
You have to ask yourself, what pain am I willing to endure, right? Mm-hmm. You either make reservations and you have to do all that thinking and planning in advance, and then once you get there, you say, oh my gosh, I don't want to leave. Or maybe you arrive and you're like, I can't stand this place. And so you're stuck because you prepaid mm-hmm. or whatever. So, or the pain of not knowing where you're going to be tomorrow. So they're equal, actually. But it depends on what your personality is. It depends on who you are,
because for us, we'd rather not know where we are the next day, because if we like somewhere, we want to stay. And maybe because we're RV video creators, if we're not quite done, we need more time, we just need to stay.
Yes.
And so, we have found that RV parks are not overly accommodating to changing your reservations.
I don't like that. I don't.
But yet when you show up, they have plenty of availability. So go figure.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, so you have to ask yourself, what type of personality am I? And then also ask yourself, am I going to like a national park in the middle of the summer? Am I going to just like, if you're going to a crazy place that's going to be booked out, well, you probably need to set yourself up for success and get reservations.
May through August, on the weekends, in populated areas, you're going to need to make reservations.
Yes.
Or be very open to boondocking, BLM, mm-hmm. Harvest Host,
but even that,
Walmart,
you have to be prepared.
Crackle Barrel.
Yes. The list goes on and on. So yeah, even that though, you have to be prepared because you have to actually know what the heck you're doing.
I know. And for that, we use Allstays. And so that's kind of our day-to-day app. But we also have been using Campendium for BLM locations.
Yes.
So I found that Campendium is really great for finding BLM. Harvest Host is our go-to mm-hmm. Dry camping option.
Right. And because we're pretty much only good for 1 or 2 days anyway. And when I say that, it's just because like I want to go take a real shower. And so we have all the, electricity that we need through our solar and through all of that. But our tanks, once I wash dishes, and everybody's like, well, use paper and plastic. I'm like, well, right, but I have to use the pots to make the food. So I still have to wash those.
And I will say that because we've been doing this for 3 years, we don't want to feel like we're camping 360 all the time. So for us, we want to feel like we're living normally. I think if we were out for like a weekend, it'd be like, oh yeah, whatever, because you're going home. But when you're doing it every day, I'm less accommodating to that.
So if you are a weekender, I would make reservations because it's exciting. You know where you're going, you know what's going to happen, you have a limited time. I would hate for you to get somewhere and then be like, I don't have space for you or whatever, and your 48 hours or 72 hours kind of gets like off to the bad mm-hmm. start. That's not cool. So I would be a planner if that was our situation. Okay. But since we're full-time and we have a lot of flexibility, we're not really planners.
Looking at the clock, trying to stay on task
stay on
here.
task. Here we go.
So what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about like income and full timing, or do you want to talk about the difference between part timing and full timing?
Well, let's start with income.
Okay, so income is a big question, and a lot of people ask, how do I find location independent income? And my first response is to start studying the subject. Mm-hmm. We spent years studying location independent type stuff. So like there was podcasts like Tropical MBA.
Yes.
I also listened to Sean DeSousa's 3-month vacation. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones I listened to from years ago, but I'm sure there's lots of more. Once you start down the rabbit trail,
or any podcasts that have to do with full-time travel, because you'll hear from everybody's story what they do.
Well, even the Keep Your Daydream podcast is dedicated to so many people that have cracked the location independent nut.
The code.
Yes. And then also there's so much content as it relates to financial independence. And mm-hmm. I've noticed that financial independence and location independence kind of go hand in hand. There's a lot of places like the Mad Fientists and, mm-hmm. For financial independence that will talk about how to create financial independence through either lowering expenses or creating work that you can do remotely. Right. But there's a lot of different ways to go about it. And I know one of the questions that we receive is, is it only dedicated to people that have like marketing, sales, freelance type positions, web design and tech and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And although those are typically the types of jobs that you'll see, mm-hmm. I will say that if you start studying the subject, you can take a year or two and start to shape the skills that you have into roles that might work remotely. And maybe the first step is just figuring out how you can work from home.
Right.
Right? Go from working in an office to working from home, and then working from home, working remotely, and then maybe working remotely to doing something on your own.
Yes. Well, okay. And let's talk about personality types again, right? The planner versus the not planner. How about the entrepreneur versus the intrapreneur, or a person who wants to have that connection with corporate America? There's two different personalities going on here. So the person who's currently at a workplace, but they're like, wait, I want to be independent. Maybe they need to start reading books like The Side Hustle, or things where you can start creating a secondary income on the side with your free time. Of course, you'd have to change your habits, like you don't have time for TV and time for like other things that you might be doing
there
at night.
There are sacrifices that we made, drastic sacrifices that we made, that accelerated the process.
Exactly, accelerated. So, and gives you that momentum and inertia. So anyway, I think what Mark is telling you is to be a student of what you want, and then ideas will start popping up at you, because there's no right answer. There's nothing specific.
On that note, I would say that working toward a location-independent income, working toward financial independence has no downside.
Right.
Has no downside. I mean, let's just say
you'll learn, you'll become more confident in what you can create yourself. Yes.
So let's just say you got to the point that you have the financial independence to go do what you want. Maybe you continue to do what you're doing. Maybe you won't. Can you think of a downside of having options, right?
No.
And so I really, reading is the answer. We firmly believe that what we focus on shows up in our life.
Yeah.
What we think about the most shows up. And so we spend a lot of time reading different books and keeping that going. And so
well, to think that you can come up with all your own answers internally is kind of crazy, right? Because you'd already know what the answer is. So you have to be searching. You have to be out there looking and finding, and then think ideas will come, and maybe it's not someone else's idea. It's just this one little thing they said, and it gave you an idea of how you can implement it in your own life.
And that's the power of listening to so many podcasts.
Yes. So anyway, there's lots of free information out there. That's why we keep saying podcasts, because those are free.
Yes.
And then also there's Audible prescriptions. It almost is a prescription.
It is.
Subscriptions where you get like 2 books for, I don't know, $20 or something.
We've been Audible members for years.
Yeah, so look into that. I don't know.
The only thing I would add onto this is to just watch out for creating this fantasy of a dream so big, so amazing, that it's so far in the distance, and you're really not willing to do it if it's not exactly that, because that's the boat that we fell into. We created this dream that was only possible way down the road. And we kind of had this we didn't really realize this until you started the podcast, but we realized that we weren't willing to do it unless if it was exactly that. Perfect. It had to be the perfect dream. And in time we realized, why does it have to be that? When Trish is doing the podcast, we got in touch with starting to make concessions of this perfect dream. And when the dream got down to something small enough that we could actually do, things started to get scary. Really scary. Because now it was our choice.
It was up to us.
Now, if we weren't going to do it, it was because we didn't want to.
Yeah.
And that was really scary, because then it was just, are we going to do this or are we not going to do this? Because we clearly can do this now, because we got rid of all the stuff that we couldn't do. So, that's why we always say, start now, start small, and start now. Right. That was kind of a big topic.
That was huge. That could be a whole 4-week series.
Well, I think it probably, and it will be. Next topic is friends. And you have great advice on friends.
We found some of the greatest friends we've had in our whole life, like literally 4 years before we left to go full time.
Yes.
And I'm like, wait a minute, we're leaving? wait. So anyway, so yes, it was painful to leave. And sometimes coming back was painful because you realize that you weren't there for some of the important things that happened. And so you have to be really careful that you don't fall into victim mode, because you're like, well, I want to know, and how come they didn't invite me? And
even when you were absolutely unequivocally not available. And
right?
That's why you were not invited.
Right. So, but what I have decided is to be very proactive in the friend department, because these are people I love and I want to be friends with them for a lifetime. And so we have made a effort to plan vacations, to plan trips, to plan concerts, to plan like, hey, we're going to be in town. This concert's going to be, hey guys, you guys want to all go to this concert? It's like an exciting thing that everybody can sign up for. And so you really have to carve out time and be very proactive.
Well, I think what you're saying is take responsibility for your friendships, because you were the one that left.
Yes.
And so rather than having this mentality that, hey, I'm gonna be home in a couple weeks, and then you get home and you're kind of expecting your friends to have like these banners out for you, and they're gonna be like blowing up the balloons. Oh, hold on, we're not quite ready for you. That might not happen.
That's not gonna happen.
You may be the one that needs to take responsibility for making those plans in advance so that when you return to home, it meets your expectations.
Yes.
And the example I have to share with you that I absolutely love, I had a business partner a long time ago named Joseph. And Joseph loved his birthday. He loved
really
it.
funny.
And he loved people wishing him happy birthday. He would like people wishing him happy birthday in town. He loved it. So I got him a shirt that says, today is my birthday. You know, you should wish me happy birthday or something like this. And he wears it on his birthdays.
Yeah.
Here's what Joseph does. Because he likes his family and friends calling him on his birthday to wish him happy birthday, he calls them a couple days in advance and says, just want to let you know that in a couple days, it's my birthday. And they say, thanks for the call.
This is a true story.
True story. And 2 days later, you know who gets a ton of calls for his birthday?
A zillion phone calls?
Joseph does. Joseph takes responsibility for how he wants to feel on his birthday.
Yes.
And he makes it happen. And as full-time RVers, with our friends, feel like we have to do the same thing. I'm coming back, be the one to make the plans. Don't feel like your friends neglected you. Now, I will share with you that when we first got back from Alaska, we took the initiative and we created a trip with our friends. We did it off camera because it was
fun.
with our friends and we just went on a trip. And I will say that when you have your friend navigating in the passenger seat, it's not near as good as Trisha. Right or left? Oh, wait, where am I going? I'm going to Palm Springs.
Do you know where we live, right? Right or left? Like,
You're not near as good at navigating
Palm
as Trish.
Springs is west.
Trish is
Palm
not
Springs
near
is west.
as condescending as you are and judgmental in that seat.
Don't
I'm just
worry.
saying, all right?
There's a lot more of that coming.
Okay, let's talk about full-time and kids real quick.
Okay, full-time and kids?
Okay, full-time and kids. One of the great things that travel does, in my perspective, is it gives you opportunities to do things that you would never do before. Like Carson became interested in aviation, and we were able to send him to aviation camps that were across the country. So I'm looking for different opportunities, really thinking in advance, oh, I'm gonna be in this state. Maybe there's something that I can do here. Continuing to look for new opportunities and new ways to push them and to grow. That's one of the things that we're, now that Carson is in high school, we have to make sure that he has opportunities to get pushed, that the bar keeps getting raised, because, you know, I can only teach him so far, right? I'm not saying academically I can teach him, but opportunities where you're with your peers and you see them and they're working really hard on something, you're like, well, I can do that too. So that internal thing that happens.
You mean like the best form of peer pressure?
Yes, the good side of peer pressure.
The good side of peer pressure.
Yes.
Rising to the standard because they're in an environment that, I get it.
Yeah.
And I'll make one other comment on responsibility and the boys particularly, because we get a lot of comments around the boys like not helping enough as it relates to around the rig, and there is a reason for that. I'm not holding the camera when they're helping. I'm managing. And as much as they love me holding a camera and filming them, you know, do the stuff around the RV, they don't.
No, they really don't.
But there is something I wanted to bring up on that score. I personally do not like to turn a one-person job into a two-person job because of the principle of it.
Yeah.
If a job is a one-person job, it's safer if that one person does it. When you have two people doing something, and we did the checklist video not too long ago, you can have a person doing something on the checklist down the way while you're still doing, it's actually unsafe to have more than one person doing things. So what I prefer to do when the boys are helping is to have them take over and do 100% of the job and me be with them. So they follow the same steps that I follow. Rather than, hey, come out here and help me. And then when I'm doing the tongue jack, they're doing the stabilizers and then I break the stabilizer. So that's a little tip when you're with your kids, give them all of the responsibility. Don't just have them come out and help you.
Yeah,
because
they have certain roles.
So they actually do it. Because if they're helping you, but they're not really doing it, they don't walk away feeling empowered, like, hey, I did that.
Right.
Because my dad did most of it.
Right.
So depends obviously how old your kids are. But I've
your
learned that.
3-year-old doing the checks. Faster.
Anyhow, so that's some of the things that we've learned about RVing with kids. All right, well, so cool. So we covered a whole bunch of full-timing topics. I feel like it was a little random, but we just wanted to have a casual conversation. No music, simple editing.
Yeah. Well, the between the seasons, you know, the peanut butter and jelly of the sandwich was all about answering your questions that we get all the time. And so we tried to tackle it like in the best way we could.
Yeah. And a lot of people on the Facebook group asked about the axle and what the situation is with the axle. I'm not 100% sure yet. The dealer called, they said it might be a flat leaf spring, but I heard a new axle was approved, so I'm not entirely sure, and I forgot to call today because I was gonna call before we recorded this.
You're not busy, are you?
No, but I'll call on Monday, and we'll try to get the scoop. But when we pick up Grand Ginger, then we're gonna cover some other things because we got a few other warranty things handled. So that's going on there. Yeah. And then the next Sunday is going to be the first episode of the KYD Cabin. And then we have, like I said, 2 or 3 renovation videos. It was really a lot of fun. The cabin turned out fantastic. We're excited to share more things as it relates to real estate and how this experiment is going to go, right?
It is the great experiment.
And then and then eventually the videos will catch up to season 6. And we're excited to get back on the road, and we're excited to start making travel videos. Excited. And maybe relax. Do we get to relax when we travel? Maybe.
Maybe.
But it is fun, and we do enjoy sharing the experience. So we're glad you're here. If you have any other questions, put them down below. And
or anything on how you handle it. If you handle how you handle RVing with kids, your residency, whatever. That's where we learn the best information is from you, because you're out there doing it just like we are.
Yes.
And that's it.
All right, that is it for this Q&A and for these types of videos.
Yes.
So it's funny, we look forward to making these types of videos when we're on the road. Yeah. And then when we make these types of videos, we look forward to making travel videos.
Yeah.
Isn't that life?
Yeah.
So that's it for this weekend. We'll catch you next Sunday.
Bye.
Set a date where you have a recurring conversation, possibly.
Yes, like on Tuesdays or whatever, if that's too much.
Tuesdays with Tiffany.
Who's Tiffany?
Oh yeah, I guess it sounded a little weird. Tuesdays with Ted.
Who's Ted?
All right.
Okay.
Fine. Point made. All right.
How about your mom?
Mondays with Mark. All right. Trisha, I guess Tuesdays with Trisha. That would have been better.
How about just Mondays with Mom?